Awesome. Well, yeah, and what I'm going to talk about isn't just selling. I actually put together like a list of all the different ways I can think of that you can actually monetize, I guess, your art so that you can actually make it, because that's what it's all about. That's what we all want to do, is make the art. So I am going to share screen and we're going to see if Google Forms or Google Sheets wants to cooperate with me, as I did this before and it didn't work, but um okay, gotta love it. It was there before. There it is. Okay, so let's see what happens when I run the slideshow. Okay, it's working so far. So oh, there it is. So yeah, I'm calling it, well, selling and making and selling what you love to make. I put on this beginning part my just a bunch of magnets is what those are, but you would never know. It's just a little slice of a Millefiori cane. My art, if you aren't familiar with it, is polymer clay sculpture based on making what are called Millefiori canes. So those are long tubes of color that are sliced up to reveal little pictures. And for me, that works out awesome because they become like a bread and butter part of my existence, and they're super fun to make. So I've been very lucky to find those as a thing. Oh gosh, okay. I'm gonna try to just a second here. I'm gonna move something around. Basically, my little quick backstory, I grew up in Wyoming, the state, and I was in 4-H and I had a sticker club. I made a sort of village in our basement. I was just like one of those kids that like always creating. I think I learned a lot about like just being adventurous and trying lots of new things in 4-H. So I give 4-H a lot of credit. My sticker club is kind of unknown. I don't even know if everybody knows about it. But I had 250 members from all over the world that I sent out I'll call it a zine now because that sounds cooler. But back in the day, I just called it a newsletter because I didn't know what a zine was, but I had access to a photocopier and I sent the sticker club out. And it was a great way for me to learn business skills because I didn't charge enough money and it barely hung on, but I learned a lot. But then in high school, I was like, I really love art. Obviously, it was obvious. And I thought, well, I need a real job. So how about I'll be an illustrator, like a children's book illustrator. So this over here is a picture I took just recently of one of my first full illustrated books that never got published, but I still have it in its original form. And in art school, I fully illustrated and made dummies of like probably at least 6 books that I sent out to every publisher and nothing happened. So my success though was the art school art fair where I made $1,000 in a day. And when your rent is only $100, that's a lot of money. And I was like, wow, I'd be able to make this work. So that's generally what I've done. I started showing in art centers and art fairs right out of art school, and that's been my gig pretty much. I put on here number D was also art reps. So early on, I did wholesale. I did a wholesale catalog order though. That is where I learned you don't want to repeat the same thing over and over and over again because you will go insane. So I learned from that to avoid anything that was really, really repetitive. And then I've also done like, then of course, well, then the online world comes around and start selling online and teaching. That gets added into the mix. And as I go through, scrolling is, there we go. You'll see all these different ways that I've, figured out to make money. But my most important rule that I have realized over all these years of everything that I do is always find the way you love to sell. It's just as important as finding what you love to make. Finding a type of way to get your work out there, a type of way to bring in, monetize your art. If you love it, then you will do it. Like so many people I know try like the art fair scene and they hate it. They hate setting up their tent. They hate sitting and talking to people all day. They hate driving all over the country. They hate, but they still do it. And it's just like, how does that feed your soul? How does that feed your art? It doesn't. So for me, I love art fairs. The only thing I'm not loving is all the traveling. So I'm hoping to cut back, but it's still, I do love traveling and I'm always torn, but it'd be nice to stay home a little more. So that's my like rule. And really it came from when I was trying really hard to do more wholesale and I was forcing myself every day to try to call up stores and I could not get myself to do it because I hated it. Like cold calling was just like, ugh, not fun. So in that moment, it was like, I got to do what I love to do because otherwise I'm not going to do it.
Mm.
So I've from here on, I kind of made a list, like all the different ways that I can think of to monetize art. And I think it would be interesting at this point too, if anybody wants to chime in, if you see a way that you have monetized art, because there's so many people here and you want to add to, I put a pros and cons on each one. If you want to chime in and say your pros or cons, please do. So as I said, art fairs, and I put in pop-up shops because you could, just be in person at a, a short little, it could be actually you could run a store too, could be a whole nother way. So, or run a gallery, something in person. The pro, of course, is you get to keep 100% of what comes in. Of course, you still have all your expenses, but there's really no limit. Nobody's saying, like, I mean, of course, you only can make so much art, but there's like it. If you can make enough art to keep up, you could bring in 100% of that income. And if you like traveling and you like to have those long weekends, that's a pro. But the cons can be this, opposite of that. Obviously, you're spending all your own money. You don't know, you could lose endless, you never know how much you'll lose. And you also have to come up with something that sells to the masses. You can see my art fair booth here. I have like large pieces, small pieces, all the way down to little tiny $12 pieces. I do magnets. So I have that like full range of pieces that sell. And sometimes I get really lucky and sell the bigger pieces, but mostly I bring them from show to show and, it's all the little pieces that sell. So
I will chime in.
yes,
This
please
is
do.
Natalie.
Yeah.
This is Natalie. I've met Layl actually years ago at an art show. So I
Huh?
have done them. I am only high end. So when you guys are going to get into this, my cheapest price is $500 and I go up to 15,000. This is not always profitable for me. If I'm going to do an art show, I'm going to do indoors as well. Outside shows, you are climate to the weather and
Mhm.
fickleness of the people. So just be aware of that. Lail's got it perfect. I will say this. She's got the whole pricing gamut. So she's got something for everybody. So
Mhm.
just I want to give that to note to any of those
Yeah.
fine art artists.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And there's very few, although they're out there, there are some shows that you can only sell, that you will sell a lot of those high end pieces, but everywhere I go, it's if you don't have the 50 and under, it's going to be really hard to really make it work. And those better higher end shows are super competitive to get into. And like, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 some years, and every year I get my rejection letter from Cherry Creek. And those of you that do art fairs know how that is.
But wouldn't you say that the shows that are competitive to get into, that are the best shows, are also kind of the most expensive booth
Yep.
wise as well?
Sometimes. Yeah, not always. Sometimes they're actually pretty average. I would say another rule of thumb for me is just because you're spending more money to do the show does not mean you're going to make more money. Because some of
I
these
agree.
been getting crazy money, and people think, oh well, if I spend $1,000 I'll make way more money, and I haven't never seen that correlation be the case, unfortunately, because it'd be nice. But yeah, sometimes you just have to try it and find out. And I always say from every show you learn something, and sometimes the thing that you learn is never to do it again. And then, you know,
Yep.
mark it
I've
off.
sold more paintings at flea markets and coffee shops than I have at any art show that I've done at
Yeah. And
art
if,
like Uptown / Stone Art / those kinds of
yeah,
sales.
yeah. If it isn't a fit, you know it pretty soon. All right. So, oops, I knew I was going to scroll too fast. So my other go-to for me, as in my real ecosystem of the way my art life works, is showing at art centers, as in like short-term exhibitions. Sometimes it's a hospital. A lot of times it's related to some kind of arts organization, and it's usually non-profit, which would also mean like they're not really trying really hard to sell it. So when I do these shows, my goal is really not to sell the work. I mean, if it does, it does. And sometimes it does. But for me, it feeds my soul and feeds my like creativity to have all this big wide open space that I can just fill up with my art. And so I can just like continually have lots of these shows. And a lot of times they're solo or small group, and you can get a lot of work in front of a lot of people. So those larger pieces sometimes inspire like a whole, line of smaller pieces that are sort of related to those pieces. So has anybody here shown much in art centers?
I have. This is Natalie.
Yeah.
I've actually done FIPS
Oh, yeah.
Healing Center for Arts. I've actually sold 4 or 5 pieces through them.
Nice.
And I'm actually in the Hudson Hospital. I have 3 pieces in their permanent collection. So
Great.
it gives and takes, and it's great. If anybody's looking to build their resume, these are the way to go, because if a gallery is going to look at you, or any store, or any even art shows, good art shows, they're going to look and see what your experience is in the art world. So these are a good stepping stone for people too to build resumes.
Yep.
I will add.
Yeah. And the thing you will not realize is, and I look for art centers everywhere I travel, there are so many more art centers here in the Minneapolis area and Wisconsin area. So many more than anywhere else. Even Chicago doesn't even have anywhere near the amount of art centers that are like this type of art center, where you can just put in an application. You don't have to be like friends with the curator or, these kind of things. It's just an application. At the very end of all this, I have some resources. And one thing I have is a spreadsheet of art centers, and I am happy to share that with people. So I'll have the link to that. I love art centers, and I have been showing at them since the very beginning, and I love it. It's so fun. And the people there, the people that you meet and the communities, they're just so grateful. So then we have online world. A lot of you have probably tried the online world, and there's this Becca Rand, take a a class from Becca, who's on the call. So learn Etsy, of course, and online sales. There's not as much upfront cost. You can just get yourself out there. You just never know who's going to see your work. It's all over the world. I think that, the cons nowadays is just so many people are doing things, and how do you, get yourself in front of people? How do you shine, especially if you're something that's not very easy to Google? If you're something really unique, it's like a lot harder for somebody to just happen upon you. Etsy, at least for me, is a way to like, at least they do a lot of advertising. I mostly sell my silly millies, so my craft supplies, basically the little chunks of clay you can slice up. But I've sold larger pieces off of Etsy also. I should probably put more up there. There'd probably be more of a chance of selling them. The expenses for Etsy are really not that bad. 20 cents for 3 months or 4 months. Becca would know. But you pay 20 cents every time you post it. And then there's a percentage. And I would say just generally, it doesn't show up to me as like a huge expense compared to a lot of other things.
I did the math once, Layl. It comes out to like 11%.
11%.
Between all of the different fees and the credit card fee and all of that.
Right. And it probably depends on like how expensive your piece is. Like, I raised my prices up just a little because I was like, 20 cents off if I used to sell them for $5.50. And like 20 cents is a pretty high, So yeah, 11% ish. That's good to know. So I even took a class from Becca during the pandemic to learn about advertising on Etsy. And I would highly recommend it. It's always good to find out more information. You learn something all the time.
Where do you get those?
Talking to Becca Rand, who I will have her her website on my
Oh, okay.
resources.
I'm actually teaching a series for Dakota County libraries in March that are all free. So
Cool.
just check out the Dakota County Library website. They should all be up there.
Sweet. And are those Zoom?
Yeah.
Cool. Has anyone else that's here had like really great luck online, like selling larger pieces?
Not me personally.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that for me, it's sort of, it happens after I go out and show my work in real life and people see it. And during the pandemic, I was really glad I had online sales, and I had a lot of commissions from people who had bought from me before because they, you know, could get a hold of me and see my website. Sometimes people just, I have a website that just doesn't have sales, but it's just my laylmcdill.com. And it's just lots of like ideas. A lot of the pieces are sold, but I tell people, you know, if you're interested in, say, a teapot, go and tell me which ones you like, and I'll make you one. So that has worked for me.
Layl, can I interrupt for a second?
Please do.
I just wanted to throw in talking about online sales. So I'm a weird anomaly, but anyway, long story short is a couple years back, I was gonna post some stuff for like, I don't know, it was before Christmas. It was like in the fall, and I was posting a bunch of things I had made. So a bunch of cards and smaller $35 items, you know, like you said, like sort of the bread and butter type work. And so I was posting it, and I had a bunch of posts, you know, 50, 60 posts, I don't know, like a whole bunch of things, several different posts. And I was going to just stop there because I thought nobody's going to spend, because my larger works, for those of you who don't know me, my larger pieces are, I'm a painter predominantly at this point, and my larger works are 30 by 30 inches, and they're $1,900. And I thought, oh, I'll just throw them up there just for inspiration, just for fun, just so people can see them again, you know, whatever, right? I sold one. I sold one. So the point I'm making is, you don't know. You have to just throw it out there. Sure, you may not sell it. I mean, I didn't think I would, but sure enough, I sold it.
Yeah, that's
I sold one of them. So it's like, well, I don't know, that was worth it.
yeah, totally. Did you say that was on your own website or on Etsy or
on Facebook?
Oh, on Facebook. Oh, using Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So totally shocking that I just, you know, threw it up there, and sure enough, I got a hit, and an actual sale came of it. So you just never know. You just never know.
I would agree. I sold 3 pieces on Facebook alone.
Sweet.
In the past year.
That is awesome. Yeah, add that to the list of online places and Instagram.
And I'm not even talking about like my business page. I'm just talking about my regular old page, you know, where my friends look, and I was shocked, to be honest.
Way to go.
I've heard people sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, okay. So then another selling wholesale to galleries. That's a lot harder to do these days. When I first started, I had 2 reps at one point. I think I had 3 for a little while that were out going to wholesale shows and, you know, placing orders and things. But I think these shops are a little harder to find, but people do it. If you know Doc 6 Pottery, Carrie Brooks that runs that, she goes to wholesale show after wholesale show, and she just cranks it out. You go to any gift shop all around the country, you can find their Doc 6 pottery. So like it's definitely a direction to go if you don't want to have to sit in a booth. If you want to get like large quantities of like kind of the same thing. I put my bracelets on here because I'm like, well, if there's anything, you know, that's sort of similar that, you know, kind of could mass produce, but, you know, keep it interesting. And, you know, of course, the expense is you're going to give 50% at least. Sometimes if they're going to be like, oh, we're going to order a whole bunch, we want even more of a deal. So, and if you have a rep, which are hard to find, they're going to take 15% of that 50%. So it gets chiseled down. And you might have to make, like, you kind of have to hone in, like, here's this type of work and here's this type of work, and I'm going to make multiples of this. So that's it's tricky, but wholesale shows also are extremely expensive. So
I was going to say that right after Warm, and I was doing all those figurative paintings, and I don't know how they found me, but I was doing the Dow, and I think everybody was sharing my art around.
Uh-huh.
And so then a gallery from Georgia who was doing hotels up here,
Ah,
they got me to make some paintings for them
oh,
to
cool.
wholesale it so they could then sell it back to this up here in this. So it was funny because I had to send them to Georgia.
Oh,
I had to send them to Georgia so that they could
yeah,
frame them and get them back up here. I just thought it was the weirdest thing.
yeah,
But it is 50%. You sell it for half of what you would have,
right.
but
And you
then you
always
have
have,
it.
yeah, you
Well,
have like a
times it.
minimum order. They have to buy in quantity. So they're not just coming
Right.
in and going, I want to buy one. I at the most recent for me, I was at a show and the very and a tea shop wanted to buy all my teapots. So they bought all the teapots, but they got them all half price. So, it was great to sell them all. But then I was like, wow, that was very cheap for them to get it. But you kind of go, okay, well, they're gone. Now I get to make more. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. All right. So then
I went to Maui, Lael. That's what I did. I went to Maui.
that's very good. Yeah. So I teaching classes is another really big part of my practice. I love it. It's the pros is, of course you get to spread what you love doing with people, you get to interact with people. I learn from my students. I'm always telling them I'm stealing their ideas. I hope they don't mind that. Usually I think they're happy when I tell them I'm going to steal their ideas, steal their color schemes. The cons, sometimes it doesn't pay very well. I'm starting to see like art centers paying a little better. For a long time, they were still paying like $20 an hour, which is what they paid when I started in 94. But I'm seeing a little bit better. I would say you really have to just, figure out what your price is and include some prep time, figure out what works for you. And if that art center or wherever it is really wants you, they will pay for it. So, even like community eds kind of a lot of times they don't pay very well. But if you say, this is what it's going to cost and, they want to do it. It can be, take a while to find venues and find places. I am doing Airbnb experience now. That has worked out amazing. So if you have something really cool that you do and a cool space that they can come to, I would highly recommend looking into it and contact me. I really want to build up more people that offer amazing Airbnb experiences because the people that come are really fun and even people are local are doing it. They take 20%, which is way better than Groupon that used to take 50% and make you have it on half price. So you got 25%. So
Can you
Airbnb,
go to them instead of them come to you? Some of them or no?
no, they're always come to me, my studio, because it's all about like seeing my studio. I even give them like a tour and sometimes I'll bake the things for them. So it's all them coming to me. And the confusing part is still some people think you have to be staying in an Airbnb. So sometimes my link on my website leads to Airbnb and they're like, wait, where, so there's still some learning curve for people to understand it. But as people travel, they get it and they actually come back and they'll take a class. So they're out there. Also, their format is just so easy, to post classes, and it's I think it's awesome. So anybody else that has found that teaching classes is a great part of what works for them?
Well, I like it.
I've been so what I was gonna say is I've been teaching art with specified groups, and so like continuing ed, I think continuing ed is a good place to learn how you teach. And then I've been working with like the show gallery or People Incorporated in different organizations where they host to a certain demographic. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I have to second that. Katie got me into that, and I love it. And yeah, teaching really does reinforce what you know and even what you don't know. Because a lot of times in between classes, I'll watch YouTube stuff and learn new methods or new
Right.
techniques, so
Exactly.
it's really good for you to teach.
Yeah.
Besides earning the money for it, it's really good.
Yeah. It really can feed your soul, I think. I find that it just definitely it adds to everything. And I even have, since I have my classes in my studio and that's sort of a gallery, like I have a lot of residual sales So especially with Airbnb experience people, they want to buy something to commemorate their experience. So that works out nice. So
Well, and you get all those neat little kits too.
yeah, I can keep them going. So grants was the next thing, and I had to put a picture of my friend Corey Favors show because I've never won a grant, but I am trying to do it more. I'm going to try to apply. Corey did this amazing project. I think it's a I can't remember who gave her the grant, probably MRAC or MA or State Arts Board, but it was all about things women carry in their purse or wherever to protect themselves, and everybody sent pictures and she made little paintings of them, so it was amazing. So I would say, yeah, obviously the pros is you could get a big chunk of money and get to play around, get to kind of follow your dream. You don't have to think about who's going to buy it, so you can make work that is social justice work that maybe nobody wants to own, but maybe they will someday. But you can just think about making a statement, getting your art out there. Of course, it's very uneven income because you just never know if you're going to get lucky. And you also have to fit what that grant is looking for. And Barbara has done a lot of grant writing, so she could give you good advice about looking at what their language is and putting that into your grant. Has anyone here had good grant success?
Layl, I've had a lot of community grant success. So it's more about, to me, it was more about doing community projects with, like say the Stone Arch. We did like the Stone Arch ones. And then I did the, like Southside community. We had one over here in our neighborhood and, stuff like that. So you also, when you're looking for grants, you have to figure out what kind of grants you're going for. And if you have a specialized thing. So like, the grants I would always go to is having some kind of community component that would engage the community. And then that's also how I interact with other organizations now, like by providing an experience for them. And I go to them and, do the spin art or the pour painting or, whatever they want to learn or something. And it's more like your Airbnb, they're going for the experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. There are a bunch of community. If you live in Minneapolis, I just talked to somebody on the phone about one that the community partnership grants. So that is something to definitely check out. So next thing. So here's something I think a lot of people forget about. And these are leggings I posted on Zazzle during the pandemic. And I did buy myself one pair. I don't know where they went, but I have them. But it's Zazzle and Spoonflowers. Spoonflowers, one thing Becca's done. I don't know if Susan Gainan is on. She used to do a lot of Zazzle. I never heard of it till she told me about it. And then wallpaper, Ingrid's here. So there's all these ways that your art can be sold in multiples and put out there. And there are artists that, they make their full living off of licensing the images of what they create. So I think a lot of artists don't think about that as a way to bring in income, but it's definitely, it's something that's out there. Anyone that's here, I've only barely done. I made somebody bought, I think, one of these pairs of leggings. So it's not like been a big income stream. But if anyone that's had success wants to chime in off of licensing, I'd love to hear.
Layl, there's another thing. I don't know if you'd call it licensing, but Fine Art America, you can post images and people can choose to buy or use the image on like tote bags or cell phone covers. I mean, they can choose where they want the image imprinted and then order that thing with your art on it, and you set the price of
cool.
What it would be. And there's a free membership at fineartamerica.com, but you're limited to only 25 images.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody recommended that to me as well, and he said that that's a really good seller for him. So that's on my list to look into as well.
And I've also had great American artists as well that I've free to upload and you get approval. and it didn't cost me anything. And in a year and a half, I've sold about $180. So it's just kind of nice because they print it and frame it for people. So they just use it's licensing. So it can work, and it's really nice. It's
That's
stuff
such
you don't think about. It's just random bonuses coming. It's like Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah. It's sort of like your money while you sleep. I guess another thing I do, I didn't even put on here is or maybe I will. So I have PDFs on my website. So that's another thing where I made these years ago for online classes, and people just upload them, and make $3 just like that. And it's like, just $3 here, $3 there, it adds up eventually. So yeah, the more you can put your work out there. So
Yeah,
Dinner to
Leo.
beer, and what else? What is it?
Lil, I just want to remind everybody the Camille Gage grant is up right now. So just for those teaching artists, it's a big one, and it's through the YMCA. A local artist who passed away, they have a grant in her name. So just
yeah.
everybody who's teaching, apply to that grant.
Yes, very good. Whoops, oh, went too fast. Okay, yes, and there's probably some people here that have done some public art. I haven't done a lot. I've done a couple hospital projects and some things like that. This is one that went off to California in 2019. It's the best thing is, you've sold it when you're making it, and you can sometimes make, really big, very creative pieces. The cons, you're not the only one that's going to decide what the art's going to look like. So like there's been like, times where I've been like, I like this look, and then they've been like, no, you have to do this look. And so you have to, it's a, little bit of a created by committee sometimes. And then, obviously dealing with bureaucracies, that's the main reason my husband Josh doesn't do them, because he did a few, and just the struggle of all of the I don't even, bureaucracies of things were tricky. And I wrote on here, read your contract closely, because I wanted to tell you the story of this piece of art. I made 4 of these. They were 36 by 36. And in conversation with the, email conversations, they talked about saying that it could only be 1/4 of an inch thick. But then they never came back to me in the conversation and said, yes, we've decided it's only going to be 1/4 inch thick. And so I thought, well, I guess we're fine. We're not going to do that, because I told them, I need to do some tests. I need to get back to you. And they never said anything. But the contract said 1/4 of an inch thick. And I did not read that, even though I thought I read it closely. But I missed it, sent it off to them, and they got it. And they said, these are not 1/4 inch thick. And luckily, they were able to find a different place to put him in the hospital that they could have the thickness, because they're really pretty thin still, like, 1 inch. But it would have been completely different art. So it was one of those moments, contracts, even if you're talking to people, is what's in the contract. And that's another like bureaucracy thing. It can be tricky. And there's anybody else doing any public art? I wish Remo would be the one. We could have a whole, he could come on, because Remo has been doing a lot of public art.
Anastasia Goodman, she's that does a lot of them at the state or the airport. Anastasia Goodman that's all she does. But you have to, even is it Susan Gannon? Is she on here? Because she's done public art as well.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing one in March with Barbara
Yeah.
and 5 other artists. So, but they're just
Nice.
painting on concrete barriers for Burnsville.
That's awesome. Yeah, you'll have to report back your experience and your pros and cons.
And Kelly, we
Kelly.
did stuff for the Saints game too, but that was fun. It was kind of a competition. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Kelly won the competition. Woo woo, Kelly.
Then I got paid more money, so that was nice.
That's nice. That's a good idea.
Kelly, talk about how you got the Barriers project, because we were very deliberate about how you applied for it.
Oh yeah, so there was a open application call for an artist or an artist team. So I applied as a team, and I tried to include just a variety of people. And definitely Barbara told me I should include a Burnsville resident, since they would be deciding. And they really liked our proposal. They really liked our community engagement plan. And Barbara always suggests, like, don't be greedy and ask for all the money. So go a little bit less than their max amount. So yeah, I think that was a good strategy, and we got it. So.
Yay. That's so cool.
$25,000.
Nice.
There's
Ooh.
7 artists.
Ooh.
Nice. All right. So then I also put, of course, social media stardom and media content licensing. I didn't even know that existed before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, I listened to a podcast about it and I was like, oh, this is a thing. Once you know it exists, you see it everywhere. But the pro is, of course, fame, who can not, have all that, attention, and maybe easy money. Like if you hit it big, you can make money off of your clicks. And the content licensing is where basically you connect up with a media company that will put your content out in the world and then give you a percentage. So I did several of those. So during the pandemic, I actually had time and focus to do a lot of videos of making canes. And I did a screenshot of my TikTok where my biggest one is that the dog there that got almost 10 million views. But that was my moment of stardom. And I sold about maybe $100 worth, mostly this little axolotl. That was my most popular sales. Maybe I had maybe 4 or 5 orders. So it wasn't a lot of orders. And I made $250 off of TikTok. I haven't been on there. Maybe they've given me more money. I kind of neglect it now. I call it the sugar rush of social media, because it's great, feels good, but it maybe doesn't really pan out to anything. But it was a great pandemic project for me. You can, if you really get into it, that posting could take away your time although, it depends on, if it feels creative to be making your post, then that's also a good thing, right? So it all depends on what feeds your soul. If you really love it and you're really good at it, and you could actually make it work. So definitely think. My assistant, he has been very TikTok famous. Unfortunately, got his TikTok stolen, so be very careful of hackers. But it has worked out really well for him. He's had a lot of sales of ceramics and things like that. So anyone else have any social media bits of stardom? Or know anyone? Yeah.
Not 10 million like you have, but I've done some just minor little videos that the reels went nuts with my photography.
Nice.
Where I've gotten like 10,000 views, which is a lot. Normally I get like 150.
Yeah.
I did do a Twitter one where I just posted a hashtag and I had over 15,000 people, and it was Chiba approving my art. So dogs, animals approving art is a good thing.
Yeah.
And just finding being a little bit quirky, being different than what you typically see. So
right. Yeah, I think that's true. I think really be thinking outside the box, really engaging. I think you really have to be on there and be engaging. And, it's for me, I have found I'm not as active on social media anymore. And you can feel really guilty if you're like, oh, I should be doing that. But I don't think you feel like you have to do it. And maybe it's just like one of those things you maybe tell yourself, okay, once a week, once a month, but like, unless you really love doing it, it's not necessary. People think it's necessary. Build up maybe an Instagram page, so at least you have something to point people to. But if it's not feeding your soul, don't stress about it. Is my main.
Well, and there's a lot of social media out there. Snapchat, there's a bunch of other ones now. So just if you're gonna pick them, pick the ones that you're gonna be at attentionally.
Yeah. Yeah, that you'll spend time with, and and feel good about, which is hard. I wrote, and so of course you could also, especially if you do use a medium that's very accessible to others, you could write books about it. The pro is, of course, you can really become well known for your medium, share what you love. It could be also great passive income. For me, I've never done this because I don't want to spend a lot of time on my computer creating a book. So it could take time away from your art, but it could also feed your art. This is a book by my friend Maureen Carlson, who's very, very famous for all of her books that she has done. She's done so many books, and it's definitely worked for her. And it's really awesome that she's, shared what she does with the world. If Susan was here, I don't know if Susan Gainon's here. She's written some books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ton of
So-
them.
Oh, and Kelly, you've done books, but maybe not this, not about your medium, but you've done illustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a definitely a thing. I met other ideas. This was a really odd way to make a little bit of money, but my art is downtown in a window. So there was a call for art on Hennepin, and just drove by it the other day, and it's always like, oh, look, there's my art. So did a watch for unusual calls that was cool. I didn't have to, I still own that teapot, but I made, I think, I don't know, 150. It wasn't a lot, but it was a little, a little bit of money, and it's up there and it's being seen by people. So you never know what it'll lead to. But yeah, I'd love to hear anybody else's ways that they've, monetized and made it work for them.
Hey, Layl.
Yeah.
Yep. Brenna here.
Yeah.
So, one of the ways that I have done, in the last few years as I'm retiring from doing shows, I did shows for like 35 years. And while I was doing shows, I gathered a wonderful, expansive email list that I would highly, highly recommend. Because now what I do is it used to be every month, and now it's, kind of more like every other month. I send out a newsletter. And so it's so targeted because these are the people who already love me, and so, and then I, whenever I go anywhere or, talk to people or randomly run into people, I add them.
Yeah.
So it's not growing exponentially like it used to, but I just can't say enough, and then I make it really personal. I, say news of the studio, and, then I show new work, and I always sell, sometimes a lot, and sometimes, not so much, but, it kind of depends on what I'm offering, but, I just can't say enough about it. And plus then you get, I miss kind of that interaction with people. And so now I get some of that, through,
Awesome.
the response. So it's
Yeah.
great.
That's so cool. Yeah, I found instead of doing a lot of social media, the one thing I do is my monthly newsletter. And that kind of gets me to do certain things like, okay, I'll go post on Etsy, or I'll post, I did doing a one-of-a-kind piece on each newsletter. So it's like, this is your only chance, get this one thing, and, click an order. And yeah, the one thing I want, my like New Year's resolution, one of them was to try to collect more email addresses, because I've been slacking on that. I've got to get a QR code. I think that's the key, because when you have the little sign-up sheets, it's so hard to read people's handwriting. And so I haven't done it like in probably 5 years, had a sign-up sheet. So I got
You can do a QR code to sign up for emails.
Yeah, if you just have it go to, I mean, I haven't done it yet, but if you have it go directly to like whatever part of your website where a person would sign up for the,
Okay.
so they would put it right in, they'd be typing it in, and, have them do it right point of purchase.
Right there. So then you have it. Yes, I love that
Yeah,
idea.
I'm toying with the idea, like, should I maybe have like a little, here, you can have a little bead or a slice of a cane or something, like a little, if you sign up for the newsletter sort of thing.
It was interesting over the years. If I just asked people, would you like to sign up for, for my contact list? It wasn't until I started doing a personal email where I say, I will send out a newsletter. And they're like, oh, a newsletter. Okay. It really, it's weird, so, and then, to give them something. Yeah. Anyway.
And just be conscious to not overdo it. I've got some people sending them to me weekly where I'm like, I'm done.
Nope,
So,
not happening.
Yeah.
Although,
and have something to say,
That's a really good point, to be respectful.
Yeah.
Exactly. Although, and you, Brenda, Erica Mock. She's an amazing artist that's out there all the time. And I had a conversation with her about how she is learning from online sales kind of some kind of process or classes she's taking, and they're encouraging sending out a lot of emails in, like, when you set up like an event, like a live sale, like she's going to have everything in a studio or something, and then just sell live. But so she'll send out a bunch of emails, and they're telling her to send a bunch, and the people you lose, it's okay. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. she's finding it working though really well. So
and she also does amazing newsletters.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah. Just beautiful. Right?
Yeah. Yes, and follow other artist newsletters, and yeah, like Brenna's, and I would highly recommend Brecca Rand's because she has great posts and great content, and yeah, you can learn a lot from other people's newsletters. What works? It's a very good way. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other ideas that they thought of while we're scrolling through?
I have a couple of things.
Great.
Obviously I don't sell art since I'm not making art, but just based on prior jobs that I've had, have you ever considered doing an auction where you buy a chance to win your art? Because oftentimes you'll sell more tickets and you know, a $2 ticket is pretty cheap, but if you sell, you know, a couple hundred of them, that might work out well for you.
I've done that for
It's-
I've done that for nonprofits.
Yeah, you gotta be
fundraisers.
careful. It actually, you can only do it for a nonprofit. And even when you do, you have to go through, it's like considered illegal gambling.
Interesting.
I know.
The next,
It's so one of those things. Yeah, I know. Seems like a great idea, but then like, yeah, it's, you know, you just have to figure out a way that people aren't actually buying it. And it is possible, but you have to, I think you have to have a nonprofit and you have to, some sign up for something. You have to, whatever the word
I'm
is.
gonna
You need a
send you
license from the
something
city you're
later.
doing it in.
Layl, do you
Just
do
'cause-
Patreon or anything like that?
Oh, that's another good idea. No, I don't, but I have heard of people doing it and and it was successful. So that can be a great way, especially if you're doing art that like people maybe can't afford this really because they're big and they're, you know, really impactful pieces that aren't going to be in a house. It might be something to do as a basically group effort, have people follow you and give them special content or whatever it is. Yeah. Anybody know anyone that has been successful on Patreon?
Can you hear me? It's
Mhm.
Barbara. My daughter has been pestering me for years to do this for ACW. She makes a couple $1,000s a month, and it also drives sales of her book. So we could set up a program where we bought art from our artists, right? So then they could sell some art, and then that would be part of what the people who signed up for Patreon got. So it's been on my list.
Yeah,
Somebody jump in there and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a thought maybe you could look into it and see if it could be connected to the new the update of swap and barter.
Great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, I looked at it last year, but I didn't think we were ready for it yet.
Yeah, maybe we are.
Well, we just don't have one more scrid of an inch to put on our list, do we, Miss Kelly?
We just need some people to do it. Hey,
Yeah, that's all we need.
Yeah.
I also wanted to give a time check. We've got 3 minutes till 7.
Okay. I just wanted, Angie, was there one other thing you wanted to say?
There was, and it was just to make it easy for people to give you their money. It used to be that everybody took PayPal. Now there's Venmo, there's Cash App, there's all kinds of ways for people to give you their money. And I don't know how many you participate in, but and then also on security, use a passphrase, don't use a password. That was all.
Use a password, because yeah, so you don't lose things. All right, well, okay, and I might go over. I kind of knew this would happen, so if you have to leave, it's okay. I got through all the ways to sell, and now I'm just gonna lay out some advice from you can't learn everything in an hour, but just the general concept, of course, to study your market, figure out who your customer is, all those things. And are they shopping where you're selling? Go and check out places to see if it fits, if it's the right mode. And this is, the kind of the crux of this whole talk too is, don't make yourself produce something that's just like torture to produce over and over again. So if you're coming up with like a product line of something, you're like, I'm going to make a bunch of these, like, make sure you've given yourself like fun parameters that you can play with, like I was telling you about that wholesale order that for the catalog, it was literally the exact same pattern of fabric over and over and over again, like 350 of them. Just gets, just set things up so you are actually can keep evolving and having fun. And then if it feels really, boring and you're tired of making them, whatever that product is, just go ahead and stop. I learned this early on, and I would just say, I am out. There's no more. Sorry, I'm not making anymore. You're out of luck. And then that also just feeds that like, oh, this art isn't forever.
Maybe do limited editions then.
Exactly, right. And everything really is a limited edition, because if it's an original piece of art, someday you're going to die and you're not going to be making it anymore. So that's a fact. Sorry to remind me.
No, it's true.
It's true. I bought a mug from an artist at an art fair, and I said, I'm going to buy another one next year. He passed away, and I still look at that mug and so regret that I didn't buy two. So, we want our customers to feel that way too. I also, if there's a design that you don't like making anymore, there might be a way to sell it to someone, or let somebody just take that design. I did that. There was a design I was doing early on and I hated it. I mean, I loved doing it, but I was done. And I noticed another artist doing that same design. She copied it, and I was actually happy. And I had a conversation with her. She felt guilty because she didn't even realize she was ever going to meet me, because she was actually living in Florida. But anyhow, I said, go ahead, just, you do it. I am glad you're making it because people love it. Whoops, I feel like I skipped something. Nope, I didn't. Also, if you are going to make something over and over again, just find a way to produce it that is, maybe not taking as much time. Of course, selling prints of your art is very common at art fairs. I talked about the selling PDFs online. Ways to, make money in your sleep, or make money that you don't have to put a lot of time and effort into. I also am a big believer, don't be afraid of changing. If you, want to change mediums, you do it. It's like you only live once, and you never know what you did before is going to feed the new things that you're doing. And number 6, very important, join arts organizations to network, like Art to Change the World. And I tell people this all the time. I get so much, my art has evolved so much after, my years of being part of Art to Change the World, and just all the people that you meet. And if you're insular in your own little circle, it doesn't feed everything as much. Anybody else little bits of advice for keeping it creative and keeping your juices flowing? You could keep it in mind. I'll just try to go through the next one. We can kind of circle back around because I'm almost done. I just have my general also advice for how to make a living as off your art. Number one thing for me starting out was that I had a mentor. And so find someone that's making money the way you want to make money off of art or monetizing art, and go to them and ask them if they will give you, 2 hours first, taking them out to lunch, or ask them if they want to be like a long-term mentor that, you would pay. It's not unusual to pay a mentor. That person has gotten to that point and all that information, trade art, do whatever. It's mentoring, having a mentor, it's huge all around. And of course, be ready to ride the roller coaster, because even after 30 years, I never know what's going to happen next. So it's, anybody that's been doing this for a long time knows it's a roller coaster ride, and
Yes,
it's
it
always going
is.
to go up again, even when you're going down. And
Yeah. Oh, good.
yeah, think long term. I will never forget the winter that, like, our taxes came back like really bad. We owed money and we shouldn't have, and all this stuff. And it was when this down moments, and that's when I just kind of had this, like, I'm gonna lay out my whole summer and guesstimate how much money I would make at each art fair, and think of the whole year or whole 6 months. And I tell myself that all the time. Whenever things are kind of low, I'm like, think long term. Get all the way to the year. It's going to work out. Number 4, I always recommend get a financial advisor. People don't realize financial advisors are free. Whatever they take from you, you don't even see it. It's a very small percentage. And we have received so much good information from our financial advisor. And if you're looking for a financial advisor, I can recommend a really awesome one. Just send me an email. Doesn't matter how old you are. We got our first financial advisor when we were probably just in our 20s still, like 27, 28. So it's huge. And I'm amazed that people can go through life without it. It's very, very.
One thing I have to say about that is, when you're considering someone as your financial advisor, make sure that they know something about the tax laws, because I had a financial advisor who didn't know enough about it, and I got stuck in something for another 5 years because the tax implications of getting out of it would have been ruinous. So I switched to a person who is both a certified financial advisor and a CPA.
Smart. Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have to be an actual CPA, but kind of vet them as to how well versed they are, or if they have somebody to consult with before they make recommendations, because it cost me big.
Yeah, it's very, and they should know everything that you put your money in. They should tell you right up front what the implications are if you take it out early, and that should be a huge part of the conversation. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that I was taking it out early. It was the end of the contract, but it was age determined. So because I wasn't old enough to get it out without tax bite.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I
Things
got
are complicated.
stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you have a financial advisor, because things are complicated. Where am I? Whoops. Did I do something already? Yes, I did. I'm going the wrong way. Little more bits. Obviously be patient, but somebody said this to me a long time ago, that there's an audience for everything. Just might take a while to find that person. And that is so true. And you see that turkey there that I made that turkey and thought, oh, who's ever going to buy a crazy turkey with a Ferris wheel on its tail and all this stuff? And I sold it just this last fall. I only made it a year ago. So you're like, I didn't think anybody would ever buy it, but I made it because it's fun. There's something for everyone. So, you just have to keep searching for where that market is, and it'll be there. And then, looking for passive income. I always kind of feel a little like, really, the thing that worked for Josh and I huge was that we owned a duplex. We got a duplex early on.
Yeah, property.
That's huge. And sometimes I feel bad saying that, and I can't really, can I give that advice to people these days? But our assistant that works for us just bought a duplex, and she's an artist. So I'm like, it is still out there. Duplexes, any kind of passive income, something that can hold you over when things aren't really like, when you're riding the roller coaster, when you have something like that, it can be a very big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to have the hassles of being a landlord.
Right. Then you have the hassles of being a landlord. Exactly. So the other thing is, yes, of course, save like crazy when you can. And because it is a roller coaster, and that's why your financial advisor is really great. So that's been very huge for us. Josh and I would not own our building if we hadn't set ourselves onto very, very strict saving plans early on. So it's sometimes hard. It's hard to know when to save and when to invest in your business too, because sometimes those expenses that you invest in your business are also huge. That is a way of saving in a lot of ways. So don't be afraid.
Well, and another thing too is you may have to have consistent income. So a part-time job, Menards, Target, coffee shop, where you could have some flexibility. I mean, I currently have 3 jobs. So
yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, that some people really thrive off of, whatever their part-time job is, their like muse.
It's a break. Yeah.
It could be your break. It can be way you get ideas, so many people are waiters and waitresses, and I'm sure there's just like so many ideas that come out of that. And I think you have to, you always think about your own risk tolerance, like, can I, handle not having, anything that's for sure coming in, and do I have to, or do I need to have that? So, you find that out by kind of just trying different things. This is my last one. Oh, there's my
and
research.
I can tell you too, Layl, for my biggest hurdle I have right now is finding my collectors.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing right there. So and I've been doing this for 25, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And you've seen me where I've evolved. I mean, where I've come from when I first started out to now, it's like, holy shit. Sorry. Kid friendly.
Yeah. It is. You do have to be patient. I mean, 25 years in, you still should be learning and evolving. So it doesn't just. So I have this list of they're all hot links, but it's kind of hard to get that off of a sheet. But I could actually copy and paste and send these to you, Kelly, and if you wanted to, you could put them in with the survey, or you can just shoot me an email. I don't know what's easier for you, Kelly.
I can post them on our project page actually.
Okay. Yeah. So some of these are like, this is all my festivals. It's a Google sheet and I have it set to can comment. So if you want to, let me know. Same with the art center sheet. Things change, of course, and it's not perfectly up to date, but you will see a big, long list, and you're welcome if you are into art fairs. I love to talk art fairs. I'll talk art fairs forever and bore Josh to death. So, any art fair in the area, I've done most of them. There's going to be a lot of new ones. I don't do as many locals, so there's a lot I haven't done, but there's a lot of them I've at least know someone that has. Springboard for the Arts has a lot of great resources of art business type things. Mock juries. I've just done a couple of these recently. This link will go to if you're getting into art fairs. You can watch this mock jury on YouTube that he did, and you can also, he offers them and you can put your own work up, and it's awesome. You learn a lot just about your presentation and the way that the art fairs really want to see your images. If you're interested in lots of exhibits, there's a call for entry cafe. I use that a lot. I did a lot during the pandemic. There's a lot of fun inspiration there, as far as like, you can look for a call that's got an interesting theme and maybe make art based on that theme if you're looking for direction. Applications for art fairs. There's a lot of good things on MN Artist. Art Fair Sourcebook, if you get into art fairs, there's those things. And I put on Becca's website too for Etsy and Spoonflower and all that. Is that the end? Yep, that's the end. So yeah. Any other thoughts or ideas that popped into people's brains?
What just popped into my head was you can also sign up to be someone that reads the grants and juries the grants, and they pay you to do that. I'm not sure which organizations do it, but I know that my partner has done a lot of those where they need a pool of people to go through the grants and help them decide, and then they pay you a stipend.
Yeah, I've done that several times. You learn so much about writing good grants by being on those panels.
Yeah, anytime you can get a chance to be on the other side, it also can help you have a thicker skin, because you can really see how, like, oh, you know what? A lot of it is just chance. I mean, obviously you want to get to a certain point where you are putting your best foot forward, but then you're like, especially if you're applying to like art fairs where there's, 2,000 people for 100 spots. It's like, you go, oh, it's just, you can take that hit a little bit easier for.
Well, speaking of applying to art fairs, there's also a thing called Zapplication.
Yeah.
So it's application with a Z, and they have almost all the art fairs are on there. And then, you got that on there too. It's just really nice because you can upload your, stuff for your application, and then you just click all the shows you want to apply to. So it makes you apply to all of them with just like one click instead of resubmitting to every single different thing.
So easy. I think back to the days when I had to do my slide packets. I remember like,
oh God,
all my slides and putting little stickers on them and writing, oh, this is like in 10 seconds, I can apply to a show.
Exactly. The digital era on top
not
of
every fair is on there, but like,
no, but and on top of cafe for exhibitions, there is artcall.org is just like cafe.
Okay.
And it's artcall.org, and that's nationwide and international. So there's a lot of weird, different calls there. And you can create a profile for free. So that one I use as well. And I'm going nationally. I send stuff out all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Applying, I could have put that as a whole nother thing, because some people can just make a living off of, applying to shows and winning awards, because there can be really great awards. And, it is expensive to ship it. And, if it doesn't sell, you have to ship it back. And that can be.
Yeah, it depends on, the price range that you have and the weight.
Yeah.
What was the other one I was going to mention too? All right. I forgot.
Yeah. There's a couple other, what is the other one? There's something with a J. Can't think of it. Jury something.
Oh, juried services or juriedart.com or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and there's several other they keep it kind of popping up, but there's a lot of resources out there.
I was gonna say I'm part of something. I haven't really actually done anything with it, but there was something called lessons.com where you could teach, you can put your classes online when people will contact you and you'll go to them.
Oh yeah.
You can go locally or you can go further depending on if you have a car or your transportation. But I never followed too much through, but I always get hits on it. And so I think it's a membership. You have to pay so much to be part of it or whatever.
Do you know what the name of it is?
It's called Lessons.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've
Lessons.
got another one that I'll send to you and Kelly when I figure it out. It's a local group. These guys did it where you would create an account, upload your art, and local coffee and restaurants would also be on the other end, and they would go through all the arts and pick what they want, and they would put you up in their coffee shops or stores or restaurants, and they'd put QR codes, and so it would be all QR code based sales. So I've got to find that, and I will share that with you guys because I think that's a great. Maybe that should be something we should do for like the newsletter in March or something. Write something up like, "Hey, looking for exhibitions? Here's a tip."
Yeah, that's a great tip. I have not heard of that, but that's a great idea.
It's something orange or something like that. I did it pre-pandemic. So I got to still see if they're around. And if they are, I will definitely get that information and share it with you guys.
Okay.
And it doesn't cost you anything. You just have to go and set up. Like I was in Uptown for 2 months. I had all my black and white canvases in their coffee shop.
Oh, nice.
That's
great.
And it doesn't cost you anything except for your time. I'm hanging the artwork up.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes people might be like, oh, it's a coffee shop, but sometimes that's a space where people might be just sitting there for a long time and really soak up your art, and at least you've got it out there. That's kind of theory.
I think that's nice because they really do get into more of a contemplative zone.
Yeah.
Well, then they see it on a wall outside of a gallery wall. They see it in a coffee shop. They can actually visualize it in their home.
And they might say it multiple times. I mean, you never know. I would say it's better chance of selling it's on a wall than in a box. I mean, it's not gonna.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be out there getting seen and not in your studio not being seen. Your chances of like 300 people, 500 people over a month, if not more.
Yep,
it's better than 2. You in your studio, mate.
I want to add to that. I'm in a show right now in a condo building. It's a pretty swanky condo building, about a block or so from the Guthrie. And right along that strip, there's several condo buildings, and they kind of all do this, where they have rotating art shows in their lobby. So basically, it's a way for them to have original art in their lobby without buying it, actually. And they rotate it through, and then so like you were saying with the coffee shop, people who live in the building are kind of living with the art for 3 months or whatever, right? And so they walk by it every day. Eventually, they might look at one and go, "Oh, I'm growing more and more fond of that the longer I see it."
And they realize it's going to be gone soon, and they're not going to get to see it again, and they're going to think about a spot where they got to put it. Have you had any luck? Have you had sales from your show there?
No, but the potential is there.
Yes. Well, I can tell you right now with the Phipps Center, Healing Arts Center, and go to Phipps, PHIPPS. It's in Hudson. They do have a healing art call through 3 hospitals. They do a payment program with the staff, so they don't have to pay. Like I sold a $1,500 piece.
Nice.
They can have it. It was an exhibition for 3 months. They had 3 months to pay for that. So they had it just taken out of their check.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that was another incentive to buy the art. So there's another option for you guys. If they look at that and just say, well, and it didn't, and then they would send me a check. They took only, I think, 35%. So Phipps was a little bit less. Some of your galleries, you can negotiate the percentage, but on the average, it is 50-50 that I have found.
Yeah.
But like the members that art groups I'm in, they take 30% with members or 25. So it's kind of nice that way.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of art centers will take less, but a gallery that's a commercial gallery is almost always going to be 50. And I would say if they're taking less than 50, if they're taking 30, I've never seen a gallery be able to last that's only taking 30. So
No,
Gonna
well,
be
it's
the
because
number.
it's
We're
their
gonna raise it
utility
up.
bills. Yeah,
It's
they're
not-
marketing people.
Yeah.
It's a good partnership if you think about it, because you don't have to market it. You don't have to worry about the electricity. You don't
Exactly.
have to worry about getting in front of people. You
Yeah.
paying somebody that. So,
Yeah.
and that's when you mark it up a little bit more. When you know you're sent to a gallery, add another couple $1,000s to the piece.
Yeah. 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 That could be.
Well,
So
my
I'm a
pieces
firm
went
believer
so
in
mine went
selling
up to about
something.
$2,800 now. So
You should sell it where if you're getting to the gallery, you know,
yeah,
you
you
should
got to
sell-
mark it up.
well, or keep it the same. Sell it the
Well,
same
for
way
mine, I
before.
have to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know, you can always have on sale. I'm gonna stop sharing screen. Is that
okay.
cool today? I figure we can all get
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna check out for you guys. So have a great evening, and I
Thanks.
will find out what that place is, and I'll share with that information with you guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Layla. Are there any last minute questions for Layla?
Anybody else? Anything else pop into their brain?
Well, I think I had sold some stuff through my Nema shop a couple times, but I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing was that a gallery reached out to me and they bought a piece that one of their clients wanted. And then I just sold it at whatever rate I had it listed on the website. But I don't know, I kind of am bad at websites, so I think I'm gonna keep my Nema shop, but I think if I had more time and more time to push it around, those
Yeah.
shops could be very,
Right.
worth the money,
Right. You kind of have to have, it's nice. It sort of floats out there. Like I had my Nema shop and pretty much completely ignored it. And then I got an order and I was like, oh, I don't know if I still have that exact thing. So I had to make another one. But, if keeping track of if it's an exact piece, but if it's like something general where you're like, I can make you something kind of like this, and you could just keep that out there for, for endless amount of time. You never, somebody might know.
Excuse me, what is your email address?
My email address is Layl, Layl, at Clay Squared, CLAYSQUARED.com.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I also want to just throw out there with the swap and barter. I just had a swap and barter with Deb Rip last week where I bartered 2 hours or so of mentoring for some artwork of hers, which was a win-win for me. And I think it was for her too. So I
It was. I got a lot of great things that I had to work on. Now I got to work.
That's usually how, yeah.
But I thought of something that relative to the condo thing is that, furniture stores sometimes have like little areas where they set up a couch and then they have a piece of artwork. And that's kind of I don't know, I've never tried it, but
I used to work with Covet when they were in my neighborhood. Covet was they did mid-century modern. She doesn't have a store she has a store in Northeast now, but it's over in that where the Continental Clay is. But yeah, she will always have art paired with her furniture and different things she's selling. And I had great success with that mid-century modern kind of aesthetic.
It was in the okay. We'll have to talk.
Yeah.
I was gonna say also, if you know a realtor who needs to like stage open houses, that would be another way. A lot of times it's that's a situation where it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I mean, if you know any realtors who need some art to stage a home, I mean that's another idea or thought. And the other one that I had, oh, it's gone. Realtors and another one. Oh, it'll come back. Go on, move on.
I have art in a bed and breakfast, so that's pretty cool. It's called House of Heart with art in it. Layla, you can stop the recording now. I think we are
sure.
ready.
Yeah, well, although people are still coming up with ideas, but yeah, it probably does kind of.
Yeah.
Thank you, Layl, for the Ortana thing.